station for more information around Nigeria.
The very first Friday of the month of September. I bid you welcome to this week's edition, or more like episode, of the Development Report on 99.3 Nigeria Info. And you can join the conversation wherever you are, and of course watch us live from any part of the world via social media. On Twitter, it's at Nigeria Info FM. Also, you could listen online via radio.nigeriainfo.fm. You can follow the conversation using at TDR Weekly on Twitter and Facebook. This week on the show, we'll be looking at something critical, and I'd like to share that with you. Before that, this program, the Development Report, is a program with a focus on amplifying and telling impact stories of non-governmental organizations and civil society organizations in their sector, sharing news that informs. On this week's episode of the show, we'll be looking at citizens and service delivery in public and private organizations in Nigeria. Thanks for joining us on the ride, and let's get cracking.
Every day, people and groups, big and small, are on the front line chasing solutions to life's most pressing challenges. Most of what they do, sadly, goes unreported and unnoticed. That's all about to change. Track all the in-depth information and analysis on a wide range of development issues affecting everyday life and meet the people driving the march towards sustainable growth. Development Report, Fridays from 10:30 a.m. on 99.3 Nigeria Info. It's radio's new big platform to bring development partners home and abroad closer. Development Report, real issues, real news.
Welcome back to the show. Globally, stronger government institutions are factors for efficiency in all sectors of national life, meant to bring about equity, inclusion, and of course, better lives for the citizens. But it's never been all rosy. A number of challenges often have reared their heads. Breakdown of law and order, poor service delivery in public and private organizations, consumer rights abuses, poor economies, poor living standards, an unfavorable business atmosphere, many more. These are the results of dysfunctional regulatory agencies. In this country, Nigeria, institutional inefficiency is a common problem. And this trickles down to private institutions that are not living up to their expectations as well. So, what are the greatest challenges to service delivery in Nigeria? And how do we effectively tackle these challenges? My guest on the show today is Francis Olufemi Leye. He's the team lead of Servicorps. Servicorps is a civic tech solution by Jadora Foundation. Let me say a fine welcome to you, Francis Olufemi Leye. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Mr. Femi. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, listener.
Please drop the mister and let's get on with the business. All right. So, I want to make sure I have everything properly correct. Is it Jadora Foundation?
Jadora Foundation is the mother foundation.
Yes, Jadora Foundation.
Servicorps is the solution.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, you are the team lead of Servicorps.
Yeah.
What exactly is Servicorps?
Servicorps is a civic tech solution that seeks to advocate for improved service delivery in public institutions through regulatory agencies. Because we believe that regulatory agencies are the backbone to holding both public and private institutions accountable for the work they are supposed to do. So as a solution, we provide civic tech tools that enable citizens to be able to interact with their government actively, to participate in the governance process, and live up to expectation, hold their government accountable in every respect. So we are basically that solution that tries to monitor the activities of regulatory agencies to be sure that they are living up to expectation, they are living up to their mandate, and they are ensuring that service delivery is reaching the citizens as it ought to be.
Okay, so that's Servicorps.
Yeah.
However, you say Servicorps, and I think Servicom, and many of our listeners already know there is a Servicom somewhere. Servicom itself being an acronym derived from the word service and compact. Compact being a formal agreement between two or more people.
True.
In this case, Servicom is, more or less a service compact agreement between the federal government and its people. And by the federal government, I mean all of its organs. An initiative of the federal government of Nigeria conceived to promote effective and efficient service delivery in MDAs, to ensure customer satisfaction, to manage the performance and expectation gap between government and citizens, as well as other members of the public on issues of service delivery. The question is, aren't you duplicating the, efforts, because there is Servicom established by the government and you have Servicorps?
In actuality, we are not duplicating the efforts. What we are trying to do is we are trying to pull up forces in order to ensure that our institutions become stronger, become more efficient, become productive. You discover that the work of building the nation, or the work of service delivery, is a PPP, a public-private partnership between the government itself, the organized private sector, and in fact everybody. It's a work that cannot be done by only the government alone. So this time around, Servicorps seeks to join in amplifying the voice of Servicom. Rather than see us as an opposing force, we are joining the force in order to be able to get our organizations and public institutions working. So in essence, we are not trying to duplicate what Servicom is doing. We are just trying to add our voice to the fight for better service delivery in Nigeria.
So will I be accurate if I said the main activities of Servicorps include monitoring, mediating, and advocating?
True, you're right.
Okay.
You're right.
So let's move on. Share with us what motivated you to start Servicorps. When I say you, I don't mean you, Francis. Yeah. I mean, yes, the organization, Jadora Foundation. What's the motivation?
Our basic motivation of starting Servicorps, it's the the understanding that the citizens deserve to be served right. You discover that everywhere you go as a citizen, you meet one service or the other, one product from a provider, which you expect to meet a standard based on either the money you part away with, or by reason of your citizenship, you are expected to you expect to get some level of satisfaction with the service that it's supposed to come to you. So we have realized that over time, Nigerians have been faced with the challenge of having our public institutions offer the right service to the people. For instance, personally, in 7 years ago, when my daughter was given birth to, she was preterm. She was given birth in a general hospital in Abuja. Because she was born preterm, she needed to be incubated. So I paid for an incubator, and during the course of that period, I noticed that my child was removed from the incubator and placed in an ordinary cot, while the child of another parent, who obviously was known by the nurses, was brought into that very space. Now, obviously, it was because the infrastructures there were not enough to cater for all the children who needed an incubator. So that is just one case out of many. Everywhere you go to the banks, you're flying by air, you're buying something in a public place. What you encounter is either someone trying to overshadow your consumer rights, or someone trying to not to do the right thing. So it's a common thing that has happened over time, and we as an organization, we felt that evil persists when good men do nothing. If everybody is to keep quiet, this approach will continue over time. So we decided to take this up and start Servicorps.
We'll look at the challenges facing service delivery in Nigeria with practical instances later. For now, though, yes, we understand the motivation to start.
Yeah.
But what are the objectives? Where are you going?
Basically, what we want to do, our objective is, number one, we want to boost public service reforms in Nigeria, which is very, very key, because the truth of the matter is, for every country, every nation, strong public institutions are the reason why the economy, the social life of the people, everything will work. So without a strong institution, we should forget everything that will make it work. So we want to foster an environment where there are public reforms that will drive efficient public institutions, very effective public institutions. That is the first point of call. Then we are also trying to advocate for consumer rights, because there's a report by NOI polls that 76% of human rights in Nigeria go unreported. So meaning that every day human rights abuses go unreported. So meaning that people face these challenges every day, but they seem not to complain, or they just don't know where to go and complain. So consumer right is also another thing that we are very passionate about to achieve. We also want to achieve better service delivery in the country. And if you realize, strong institution, the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, we have goal number 16, which focuses on strong institutions, peace and justice. So without strong institutions, we cannot have a society that produces peace or produces justice. So we are very passionate. Nigeria is a signatory to that accord. So we feel that if we amplify our voice and our advocacy, we will be able to build a society that has strong institutions, that has peace, that has justice. By that means, we have achieved the Sustainable Development Goals.
Okay, very good. I see from your little piece there that you're also looking at bridging the gap between the state and non-state actors.
True.
In other words, interfacing with regulatory and public organizations to ensure they deliver and fulfill their corporate responsibilities, right?
True.
You also act as a check and balance, like a check and balance organ, by the way, isn't that for these institutions?
You see,
do you have teeth? Can you act? Can you take action against erring institutions, government and non-government alike?
In fact, the stereotype in Nigeria is that we feel it should be a down-top approach, where people feel, okay, let me go complain to one government organization and see whether they will answer or not. But we are adopting the top-down approach, where we are going to the big dogs, the one that people think they are untouchable. In essence, we are the watchdog of watchdog organizations. So we come to this organization.
So you are the watchdog watching the watchdog?
Yes.
Okay.
We are the watchdog watching the watchdogs. So we come to these organizations. We say, no, it shouldn't be business as usual. If this is your mandate, fulfill it. These people, that is the reason why you are that is why you have been set up in the first place, to be able to provide this, what they call it, regulatory function, because you have been set up by a legislative act to provide this, implement these laws in a certain field or whatsoever. So you should be able to do it for the peace and benefit of the citizens.
All right. Yeah. We are fast running out of time. Let us talk about challenges to service delivery in Nigeria. And I'm interested in practical instances that you may know of, medical, aviation, because you just mentioned aviation and medical in your in the things you talked about.
Yeah.
So what are just the main challenges?
Okay. The first challenge to service delivery in Nigeria, for us or for me, I would say is the problem of duplication of form and function. We have this challenge
in government agencies.
In government agencies.
That, in other words, everybody's job is nobody's job.
Everybody's job is nobody's job.
But again, I mean, like I said, I want to bring you back again. We have Servicom, we have Servicorps.
Yeah.
I know you have explained you are the watchdog against the watchdog, but the ordinary person just seeing the two organizations will wonder what is going on. I mean, the road safety is on the road doing the job of police. Police is doing the job of last mile. Last mile is doing the job. Everybody is doing everybody's job, and nothing gets done. So yes, it's a challenge. So I want to listen, and I even as you hit this topic, it's also important that you clarify why my audience should not assume that Servicorps is just going to be one of those duplicated institutions going forward.
Okay. Like I mentioned, I don't know if you are aware of this government intervention platform also called ReportGov.
Yes.
We have Servicom, we have Servicorps. We have Servicom and we have ReportGov. They are meant to do the same thing. We are used to that very approach in Nigerian government. I mean,
exactly the same function.
The same functions, just different names. So, but for we are quite different because, in the first place, we are not a government agency.
Fantastic.
Then, secondly, we want to watch these guys.
These government agencies,
we want to watch
and make
them.
sure they do what they're supposed to do.
Yes, because presently we have been interfacing with a lot of them. For instance, we got a report. We got a complaint from somebody in Abuja saying that staff of Nigerian Railway Corporations, especially at the train stations, they used to hoard tickets and not sell them out until maybe when it's very close to train takeoff, and then they begin to sell to highest bidders. And this is a problem of a poor service delivery. So we want to we started interfacing with them. We wrote to them that this shouldn't be. If you're having a problem of ticket management or ticketing or boarding, you should either try to revamp the system or in one way or the other outsource it so that we can have this thing more effective. We all know that this very institution or this very body has been long very lackadaisical and not efficient. But for now, why not we take it serious? The same thing happens to every other field. We have the air industry where we had over 16,429 delayed flights in just 6 months, according to a report by Nairametrics just about a week or so. That means about 100, if you break it about daily flight delay, we have over 100 flights that are being delayed on daily basis.
Not because of not because of anything serious.
Not because
anything serious. It's just our nature
to just be lackadaisical about things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So interesting with the challenges. You mentioned the duplication of functions, and you somewhere in there you've also mentioned poor monitoring, which is why there is a need for an independent watchdog to monitor government set up watchdogs, which are often duplicated and often do not get anything done.
True. I would like to also add that we are very crucial in this fight, in this very industry, because these very organizations, one thing they don't like is you calling them out and shaming them. You know, so we are as another arm of that very space. We will call these people out. We call them out and we tell them what they are supposed to do. We tell them in the open on social media, on all our platforms. We tell them, we say, this thing you need to fix.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. Because of our time, let's just take half a minute to talk about your plans making impact within the system using tech solution, which is, the base, the base of your organization, a tech solution provider, amongst other things.
Okay. Some of our activities that enables us use our tech solutions in order to make impact include what they call citizens engagement. That's in form of grassroots engagement, because you cannot obviously you can't offer this kind of solution without getting to the grassroots. So we have a team of people, a team of workers, or a team of field officers who go to interface with citizens, and try to hear about the issues that they face. What is their level of satisfaction with services they access in different public or private institutions? And from there, we're able to help them amplify their voices. We're able to give them the tools to be able to make complaints to the right quarters or what as the case may be. Then we also have institutional engagement, where we use very specialized tech tools to be able to reach out to these organizations, to these institutions, based on the complaints that we've gotten from members of the public from the grassroots engagement.
Okay.
So through that means we're able to interact with them, we're able to mediate for citizens, we're able to monitor them, we're able to track them, we're able to now also amplify their voices if they are doing right or wrong.
Okay.
Then we also use we also engage on online engagement. We do online engagement,
sensitization
and engagement.
Okay.
Where we use a lot of infographics. We bring out data that citizens need to know in order to be actively involved in the governance or service delivery process.
All right.
So all of that.
All right. Other than monitoring visits that you talked about before, there's grassroots engagement, institutional engagement, and sensitization and online engagement. So it's engage.
Yeah.
The results are looking good.
Very.
Now, somebody is listening now, and it's like, wow, I need to contact these people. I need to blow a whistle about something that I have observed. How do they contact you?
Okay, we can be contacted or reached through our Twitter or Facebook handle and pages. Our Twitter handle is at Servicorps NG. At Servicorps NG. Corps as in the National Youth Service Corps.
Okay. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your coming. Francis Olufemi Leye,
Thank you.
team lead Servicorps, a civic tech solution by Jedora Foundation. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to talking to you again sometime in the future because there is much to unpack. We don't have enough time for it.
It will be our pleasure.
Fantastic. That's the show. Just before we go, I just want to throw this in that entries are now open for our International Day of the Girl Child Essay Competition. It's a competition for girls aged 9 to 16 who are in secondary schools in Lagos, okay? International Day of the Girl Child Essay Competition for girls aged 9 to 16 in secondary school. The topic is, as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, what would you do to tackle sexual violence against girls in Nigeria? As the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, what would you do to tackle sexual violence against girls in Nigeria? The essay must be written in English. It must be your original work. It must contain a cover page containing your full name, your school name, your class, email address, state of residence and phone number, and it must not exceed 1,000 words. There is a grand prize of 50,000 naira and, of course, an Android tab. There are other prizes too. But deadline is before 6 p.m. on September the 30th, the last day of this month. And you must submit all your entries to essays@hasey.org. essays@hasey.org. Hasey is spelled H-A-C-E-Y. If you are not sure, you can follow. You can go send a request to tdrweekly@gmail.com. So where you can also participate and get all this information. Don't forget, follow us on social media at TDR Weekly and, of course, at TDR Radio. And check www.tdrradio.org for more update. This show, TDR, which is the development report, is produced by MAP Media Production with production support from Onyechi Ekumankama. Producer is Mayowa Adeniro. I'm Femi Obong Daniels. We are set to host Carla live in the studio. And you know what that means. Stand by.